I would like to thank Anu Talwar, the president of Federation of Indian Publishers, for having given an opportunity to come on the stage and share our thoughts with the Delhi Book Fair audience. Thank you, Anu. Thank you very much.
In both of your books, characters and their inner psychology, their emotions are very important. What is it like, and how is it that character-driven stories are different from action-driven stories?
This is a very pertinent question, because all stories are powerful, whether it is a character-driven story or an action-driven story. It is said that those who tell stories rule the world. So so anybody who writes a story, any novel or author, will fall in that continuum between the character-driven or the action-driven story. I would prefer character-driven story because my book, Anand, which I have written, is the first debut book, and here it is a hero story. And all the hero stories are character driven because here the authors work on the inner conflict of the person and on the psychological aspects of the characters. So a character without emotions is like a flower which doesn't have a pigment, and it is a void, dull, and it does not appeal to the reader. So in a character, when I talk about action-driven stories, both action-driven stories and character-driven stories are compelling. Action-driven stories, I can give you examples from Mahabharata and Ramayana. All the heroes, all the protagonists in the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, these characters, they don't act basically on their psychological or on the inner conflict. They take actions because there is a law, because there is a norm in the society, and they have to act according to these norms. They cannot take their own decisions and work on their psychological conflicts and take decisions on those matters. So this is the difference between an action-driven and when I come to Anand, Anand is a character-driven story, I told you, because Anand here is a coffee pruner. He is very, very passionate about coffee, and he is so passionate that he chose coffee growers over her love life Alma. And he also faced all the trials and tribulations. Only because of his passion, he was able to bring a remedy for all the coffee problems in India, and he was also able to change the coffee culture or bring a revolution in the coffee culture in India. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think, I would liken action-driven stories and character-driven stories to the way the left brain and the right brain work. The left brain is the more logical, thinking brain, and the right brain is the more, creative thinking brain, right? So in an action-driven story, it follows a very set concept where you have a plot, a subplot, and everything is moving towards actioning the plot. Whereas in a character-driven story, that's where you get to delayer a personality, delayer a character, and then you realize how the environment around them is influencing the character. So it's essentially about where the spotlight falls. It's not that there is no character development in an action-driven story. It's just that the focus is more on the action that is happening there. But here we're looking more at the psychological elements. And one aspect that really appeals to me, when it comes to character-driven stories, is the fact that I generally enjoy delayed characters. It can be a Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, or it can be maybe a Pip from Great Expectations. they're all such variant and vibrant characters. You know, why is it that they have developed in a certain way? So when you start looking at people or characters from that perspective, then it becomes very interesting, because you get to see as to why the environment is conditioning and how is it conditioning a person to react in a certain way. Yeah.
Thank you for your answers. It really highlights the role of inner turmoil, conflict, and the layers that a person can have within themselves, and the role of that in a story. So, when it comes to putting these things in work, in your books, what are the psychological elements of these characters that you consider while portraying these layers or turmoil?
The psychological characters that we... can you repeat the question, please?
What are the psychological elements that you consider while developing these characters?
Okay. See, when an author develops the character, he has to deep delve into the psychology of the people. He has to be very observant and observe the different kinds of people, how they react to certain situations. If there is a fire, okay, there are three characters. They act in a very different way. One person may, because of fear, he may run away. The second person, he is so analytical and he has reasoning, and he also takes action. And he may immediately ring up to the fire station. So the third person may get panicky and doesn't know what to do. He may sit and cry also. So there are different kinds of characters that we can bring in, because for one situation, there are people who respond in a very different way. So when we are creating the psychological characters, we may create an antagonist who has got lot of assets and who has got lot of positive sides, or we may create an antagonist who is very different, who has got all villainish characters, and there are side characters who support the development of these characters or who develop the plot. So all the characters will take the plot forward. Every action of theirs, every response of theirs will take the character forward. In Anand, I have created many characters. Okay. When I talk about the protagonist Anand, this Anand book, initially I would like to say this is inspired by the Cafe Coffee Day owner Siddhartha Hegde. See, this, when I created this, I never researched about Siddhartha Hegde, but then I just imagined a coffeepreneur, what may be the psychological upbringing of this person. So I have set the book in Coorg, which is a warrior land. So here the characters which develop also depends on the culture in which they are brought up, and also depends on the personalities around them who influence. Because man is a product of heredity and environment. Okay. So heredity, some of the characters we gain from our forefathers, from our parents. And some of the characters or some of the emotions that we develop may be because of the influence of the surrounding people. So here Anand is a person, a coffeepreneur who is brought up in Kodagu, and he is a very simple man, hard-working man, very compassionate, very loving. And he has also a very practical mind, and he knows how to create solutions for all the challenges that he can come across.